Duna, 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 no, 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 da. Alice's little scout has finally replaced Cheshire. Okay, not really, but for anyone that didn't hear yesterday, the AGPs are now going to be Alice cluster only, starting from the June 11th one, I believe. This is extremely exciting news. I'm really hoping that everyone that's watching this has already heard this news, but yeah, if you haven't, Robert Hebert confirmed that the company spoke out to him, and it wasn't his decision, it was the company's decision. So anyone that's giving like Matt Cosmo or Robin heat needs to like really back off because it's completely pointless. This is not only the 100% best decision they could have made, but it's definitely in their right too. If you guys actually look in I think it's the tournament policy rules. I remember reading over this when I was head judging the Pasadena event. But the company is actually totally allowed to change the format of I think it's a level 2 event is what it's called or something like that. But essentially, if it's an AGP, you're 100% allowed to change the tournament. They're not going anything out of their policy. They're not doing anything that's like, oh my God, they're doing it again. They're ruining everything by changing everything. Like, no, this is totally the best decision they could have made. Anyone that's kind of whining about it is actually it's annoying to me too, so I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, or I'm not trying to call anyone out, but it is definitely 100% annoying. I have had absolutely no passion to play in any events since the Pasadena AGP I had judged because of the Alice World kind of epidemic. There's a lot of other cool decks that top 8 quite often, like the Hung Long Sacred Beast one, and there's like a lot of trees that top 8. But for the most part, it's like one of those decks or two of those decks, and then like 6 reflex, or sometimes even those decks use reflect. And I don't think there's any problem with the ruler always being reflect as long as the main deck is different. But for the most part, I think, I'm not sure if I'm 100% right, but I'm pretty sure it was only one AGP that didn't have this, but it might have even been that one too. But Alice World has gotten first and second at I believe every single AGP this year. If not, I think only one of them it didn't. But that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, that deck is a really, really good deck, and I enjoyed playing it for about a week, and then it was just Alice World. I mean, nobody at my locals like playing against me. I didn't even enjoy using the deck. It just becomes very like same thing, different day, and it's not any fun. And so I think that the decision to make all of the AGPs this year into Alice Cluster, I believe it's after the Vegas one. For anyone that also actually doesn't know this either, but anything that goes on the West Coast is outside of like the official forcible team's decision. So, for example, Vegas is going to be run by Terry Chan, who is the, I believe, store owner of Destination, and CoreTCG, of course, who I work with through the Pasadena event, and we're throwing the LA event. And the reason why, excuse me, it's like super early in the morning. I'm trying to get this up before I go to work, but the reason why we don't have like Matt Cosmore judging these events or anything like anyone you actually recognize is because they handle the East Coast side of stuff and we do the West Coast. So the personal like private stores, I guess, do it on the West Coast. I don't really know how we started. I haven't really asked, but I know that we ran like Terry Chan ran Anime Expo last year, and he's doing Vegas this year, and we did Pasadena, and we're doing the Los Angeles Convention Center one as well, which we actually just put out the promos for. So I'll probably have that in the description. It looks really cool. Like the Merlin is absolutely beautiful. Like he's just so great to look at. Like I've never stared at a man for so long. Maybe Oberyn too. Oberyn's also like super beautiful, but Merlin looks great. The alternative art Merlin. I'll try to have it in the description. Like it looks so good. But anyway, so so it's not directly in their control if Vegas switches the format, and it's I think 2 weeks from now. So I'm not sure if Terry would want to change it. I also don't really have an opinion of whether he should or not because it's really, really, really close. I might even be playing at that one actually. Like I haven't 100% decided, but I'm pretty sure. Sorry, my like OCDs are killing me with that too. It's like it has to be straight. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of the Vegas event, I'm not too sure if he's going to change it. I mean, I would have more fun if he did, but it's 2 weeks before, and I don't want anyone to give him any crap because I'm pretty sure he's put a lot of work into putting this event together, so I wouldn't want anything to go wrong with that either. For people that also don't know this, but When the West Coast side of events, I'm not even sure if this is how the East Coast might work like this too, so I'm not trying to say that it's completely different for us in any way, but I just don't personally know how it works for them, so I'm speaking on our behalf. But when a West Coast like store throws the event, it comes out of our pocket 100%. So Forceful doesn't pay for the venue, Forceful doesn't pay for the streaming, Forceful doesn't actually pay for anything. They only offer you the playmats and the promos that people get for entry. And I'm not like complaining or anything. I just want people to know that like if let's say if that is also the same case with like Robert and stuff, even if it was his decision to make this into an Alice cluster format only, which once again it was the company's decision and not his, I think if he's paying for this 100%, that he has every right, especially because it's in the tournament policy, to make it as successful as he sees fit. And I think it's very silly for people to be extremely immature and not understand anything from like a business standpoint and understand that everyone wants this game to grow, even from a business standpoint. As the bigger the game is, the better it's going to be for everyone. And I think it's extremely silly to think like, but I already bought Cheshire Cats. Like, yeah, but the bigger picture is, you know, everyone has Cheshire Cats, and now everyone has to buy Rulers and Warriors, which are also really expensive. And I don't mean to seem like so harsh or try to put anyone down. I understand that budget is definitely, you know, something that everyone should take into consideration. I don't think people should ever buy into something that they don't feel comfortable buying into, whether it's cards or any hobby or anything at all in life. I really don't. But just generally, I think we need to really stray away from this kind of every single time there's an ounce of change, everyone just freaks out and starts complaining behavior. It's really silly and really immature, and it just doesn't seem to make any sense. So yeah, that's kind of my whole like idea on everything that's going on right now. I'm super excited for it because now I get to actually play something interesting. I don't have to force myself to play Alice World, which I consider myself a pretty good Alice World player, but I know I'd probably lose in the mirror just solely on the fact of how bored I am playing that deck. I literally don't enjoy playing that deck to the point where if I can't win against a random deck pretty quickly, I want to kill myself when the game just extends on because it's so boring to play that deck to me. And some other people might enjoy playing it, and that's totally fine. This is 100% my opinion, but I just don't like playing it. So other than like my like complaining rambling and me showing off the amazing Alice's little scout, I actually wanted to show out some positive things, and that's all the rulers I think could actually be played now and what we might be able to see. Because Italy's had a bunch of events where they've only done Alice Cluster, and it's actually super successful, and they have like Reflex still tops, but so does everything else, and it's really, really cool. So I was gonna go over just some other stuff that I think is really good. First and foremost, Ruler's Moria is going to be the most important stone, but this is actually, like, knowing this is really good because it opens up so many possibilities as well. Ruler's Moria, of course we lose dual stones. So for anyone that doesn't know, I guess I should have said this in the beginning, sorry I got kind of lost, but the Alice cluster is SKL, which is 7 Kings of the Lands, Twilight Wander, and the Moonlit Savior. So that's 3 sets that we are allowed to use. And you can also use the like Alice dual deck, but I think everything from there already got reprinted. So, and of course like the Arla starter decks and whatever, those are all from Twilight Wander and TMS. So there's no dual stones, no Moonshades, no Moonlights. The only stones we have that produce more than one color are Ruler's Memoria, and then the Black Moon's Memoria, and the Moonbreeze Memoria, and then any color fixing ruler there is. So automatically, because this produces every color, this is going to be the most important stone. But of course, you have to take into consideration that a lot of the decks that use this are, of course, going to have like 9 to 10 Regalias in it, which is, you know, something you can go into trying to punish, which is what I've been trying to kind of work out on the side. But I might, like, I've been thinking about some guild decks, but I might be changing it up. I'm not too sure. But this is going to be the most important stone. So if you don't already have these and you plan on going to the event, please pick them up before they spike. Or I think they might have spiked a little bit right now, so you might wait to find them cheaper. But I'm not too sure. I haven't looked at any prices because I have my playset. And I think it's just try to get them before, like, I feel like if you try to pick it up at an event, the event vendor is going to be like, really overhyping it and trying to get as much as they can for it, so that's not really good either. So if you don't have them, I don't know, maybe check eBay, or I don't think we have any at Core, right? Of course they get it from there because I work with the prices directly and I think they're pretty fair. But I'm pretty sure I didn't have any even when this got announced, so I might have full arts, but I'm not sure. They probably bought out by now because they were only like $12, so but yeah, typically check Core because I update it quite frequently, but I don't know what the price is going to be, so I'll have to look. Kaguya is going to be an amazing ruler in my opinion. This wasn't in any of the Italy top decks, but I think the fact that this can play 4 Moonbreeze Memoria and 4 of the Black Moons Memoria and have essentially white, black, and green is really, really strong. Counters I think are going to be really important this format because everyone's going to be playing kind of a slower format, so you can like drop bigger creatures later game without like it actually finishing too soon. And I think that having access to Seal of Light and Wind, especially being able to awaken it and make it so that you don't have to pay so they can't chase to it, I think makes this deck really, really strong. And of course, Moonbreeze Memoria produces the light and you get green from this, so you can even get green from the Black Moon's Memoria and then just use the light from your Moonbreeze Memoria and then use the Apollo to awaken it, which I think is really, really, really strong. The only dangerous thing about Kaguya is she's in double space-time range, so if your opponent can use space-time anomaly and then use it again from the graveyard, she would just die. But you can possibly get her to get pumped up with all the awakenings first. But I generally think Kaguya is going to be a really good ruler. This is strictly what I'm going towards because I don't want to have to rely on the Ruler's Memoria. And if you guys actually don't want to pick up Ruler's Memoria, that's maybe a deck you can look into using. I think using the 4 and 4 of the Moonshin and Moonbreeze and Black Moon's Memoria is actually a really good way to use it. I mean, it opens up Lucifer, it opens up Celestial Wing Seraph, it opens up Wall of Wind. You can use Moonbreeze Elf. There's a lot you can use with this deck, and this is the one I'm most excited to play. So I think it's going to be either between this or Gil. But Gil is the reason why I like Gil so much more. The deck is a lot harder to build, I feel. But excuse me, sorry. Once again, I'm like in a rush and I just woke up. Yeah, Gil generally is better than Kaguya, I guess, because he actually counters her as well. The only problem is the main deck doesn't look as good, but having Space-Time Collapse right now I think is going to be really, really important. I try to pick those up too, especially if you're like me and you like high rarity. If you wanted full arts, I try to pick them up before they spike, because Space-Time Collapse dealing with the monster and the Regalia in a format where everyone's going to have 10 Regalias is really, really good. I think that card is going to be one of the most important cards this entire format. And like, especially with no Cthulhu, if your opponent has like a land slot that's swung at you and they have like a Ruler's Memoria because they had like Change the World and they're using Reflect, and you Space-Time Collapse land slot and hit the Change the World, and they already can't even tap it in response because it costs a 1 on his ruler side, I think that's really good, and I think this is going to be one of the most important rulers right now. This, just in general, when I was like thinking about all the possibilities, this cluster actually seems really fun, and I'm excited to play it. I think there's so many different decks to test out, and it kind of made the game like really fresh again. I think I was already really hyped for rotation, but now more than ever, I think this is going to be great. Yggdrasil, the World Tree, Alice is really hard to get over, and we have less answers to get rid of her, essentially. The deck does have less counters, and Featsing is gone, so I think Featsing was an important part in green. It's the only reason that I'm kind of iffy about Kaguya. I'm sure I can still like put something together, but Featsing was like one of my favorite green cards, so I'll have to try to figure something out. But yeah, having Alice and Excalibur is still really, really strong, and I can see it like as a totally easy win condition. So I think Tree has a really good chance. Shion is great. If you use her Memoria, you're actually like in a format where there's no dual stones. Before it was very like, why use her Memoria when drawing a card isn't as important as having a whole nother color? But now it is. Now you can run 4 of her Memoria and 4 of Ruler's Memoria, even if you do want multiple colors. Using something like 4 Gleipnir and 4 of her Regalia isn't even that bad because of all the discarding to draw. Not to mention all the drawing you're doing from her stones. I think generally like Shion could be really, really powerful, and her God Art is really good. The water monsters aren't that bad, but I think you definitely have to make something else in there. I don't think like the whole Drill Sergeant beatdown would still work because of Gil Apis's Space-Time Collapse. I still think there's like really good removal. Burn to Cinders is also 700, which is right in Drill Sergeant's range. So I think she's still like stone-wise, she's very set. But you'd have to try to figure out some way to build the main deck, which is, I might be doing like profiles on these if I have time actually. The events are actually really soon, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but if I think of something creative with one of these decks, I'll definitely try to post it, because this actually seems really interesting to me. Like, even I thought about all these ideas already, but kind of like putting them out in this video is making me really, really hyped. So Alice Iris, my dear friend Alice Iris, I'm gonna miss all the crazy things I was doing with all the colors in this deck, but honestly, this is one of those decks that's gonna be really easy to build mono red. I wouldn't even worry about Ruler's Memorial. Being able to recycle, if you use the little, the time emissary guide that like taps to do 200 to something, that plus Burn to Cinders would probably kill any relevant monster. Like if they have a Lucifer, that's 200 and then 700. That removes it from game. If they have a Persea, Burn to Cinders takes care of it. If they have a Lancelot, 200 and Demon Flame takes care of it. Not to mention a 200 and Demon Flame kills anything because they took damage. So, and being able to recycle all that with this Regalia, I think is still really strong. He's also one of the only other rulers that doesn't need Ruler's Memoria. And Barrier of Shadows or Gilapis doesn't hurt Dead Sight from the Grave. So I think this actually like has a really, really good mono red matchup against everything. And I might even consider running stuff like Lancelots in there just because you're gonna have to fill up all the little slots. But it might still, the Verdanis might be enough. I was never using Scald, and I had like one Earther, and I was just using a bunch of kill spells. And I think like with Demon Flame, and I believe there is Burn to Cinders, Shadow Flame might be used. I'm not sure because it does have Remnant, so that's nice. But I'm not sure. I have to check it out. But I'm like so excited that there's just so many things you can do with all these colors now. I think red still isn't a really good spot because of Guinevere. Guinevere is forever going to be like the best red card ever, along with like Rookegg. So the only problem is that I'm worried about this is there's no like target, I think, full-on destruction other than the Demon Flame combo. I can't think of something that like kills anything 100%, but it might be good because you get to recycle a lot, so I'll have to see. Earther actually, I guess. Earther can kill stuff. You have to banish a lot of high cost stuff. You probably have to target a lot of Burn to Cinders, but yeah, Earther can use be removal actually. And then Reflect. Of course, Reflect is still going to be extremely like relevant. The only difference is that if people play Reflect, they still can't play Alice World because Cheshire Morgiana assigned to the future. Everything that pretty much goes into Alice World is gone. Still having him as a ruler is going to be really strong, but I think it's only going to be strong in the sense of like a Red Rush. But even like without Cthulhu, the deck isn't as scary. I'm not really worried about Red Rush too much. Even with like the Necrolance deck still works essentially, but not being able to sack for that extra damage of Cthulhu, I think really, really slows the deck down. Not to mention that if, like, let's say that deck was playing against an Allosaurus deck, for example, Burn to Cinders removes Persea from the game, which means she's not dealing the 500 damage. You can target Rookeggs with it so they don't search. It just seems like there's actually a lot to be able to do against this deck now, and because of Cthulhu being gone, like it lets you have that time. So Reflect is still going to be absolutely amazing. Someone might even be able to play like Reflect Beast or something. I was like, the Evo cards actually seem pretty scary now. Reflect Fairies, I've been saying this for forever. Like I feel like I'm gonna lean towards this no matter what because of just how I am about fairies. But I'm building fairies and I'm killing everyone. Like whoever's with me, like just honestly, like in the comments, just put like raise a hand emote or something. I'm so ready to like end the world of fairies. Oh, I love fairies. Like they're gonna like it's the easiest deck to build because it's like 36 of them. And you just like run 4 of each, and then you run like 4 tech cards, and you're like, we're in this. Like, I have Ruler's Memoria, I have Fairy's Memoria, I have 10 colors at all times. I'm gonna destroy everyone. I'm so excited. Oh man, that was between Allosaurus and Fairies. But alright, okay, just vote. Let's try to vote. Like, somebody needs to help me decide what I want to play. This is getting like really ridiculous. Oh, I love Fairies so much. Sylvia is a color fixing ruler, which is really interesting. So having green gives her access to Persea. You wouldn't specifically have to use Ruler's Memoria, but I think in this deck it's actually pretty good because of the imperishable through like Excalibur and Leviathan. It's really good because she's like a really good finisher already, let alone having access to all those really good cards. So I think having the Persea, the Lancelot, and Guinevere and Rookegg and whatnot makes this deck pretty good. And then her enter effect is really strong. And her having swiftness kind of scares me because I feel like if she enters and I prevent damage with Kaguya and she has like an Excalibur, she could just like target attack me and I would still need to have like light open to prevent that damage too. So it's going to be kind of hard to play against Sylvia actually. I think she's like really, really strong right now. I might actually consider building this too. I'm not sure. It's really nice. So I like the art on Sylvia on both sides actually. So that kind of complicates things too. But I'm going to try to like lean away from red. I kind of don't want to play red. Dark Alice's God Art is great. There's less answers to Arthur nowadays, and we lost 0, which kind of sucks. But If you could run Ruler's Moria in this deck, Space-Time Collapse is absolutely... Space-Time Anomaly is really good with this deck because it becomes -7/-7. Her being a 14/14 is still really, really huge. With Schrodinger, of course, and then she still has access to Imperishable that way, but Space-Time Collapse does take care of the cat, so that's kind of a big deal. He can maybe like kill the cat and then attack into her or something, so that's kind of scary, but I guess you can respond by giving her Imperishable if they don't have Death Sight, so that's an easy way out too. It's just kind of hard to build decks that are all black nowadays because we lost a lot of really good black cards, so I'll have to try to check it out, but I think in general she's a really, really strong J-Ruler. Valentina, the only problem with her is the fact that all of the relevant cards like Barrier of Shadows and stuff are still in this cycle. They didn't take anything out, like Deathside Blazer and Barrier are all in the Alice cluster, so there's still like infinite answers to her, but her and the other 7 kings are all, I believe, relevant. Maybe not like all of them, like Valentina 1.0, I think losing Cheshire is like not that great, but Machina I think could be really good actually. Machina is like secretly like the greatest ruler of all time. I'm like traumatized from all that support still. Like he's gonna like destroy everyone. There was like a Machina deck that got 3rd place, and it was just using like all the weenies with green and like magic screw and stuff. Like that deck is actually really good, and I'm actually thinking Machina might be topping more often. The constant surge is like having like a mini reflect because the format's so much slower, and magic screw on like a Clockwork Soldier, unless they like space-time collapse you, is really scary, and like 3-drop Maribels are really strong. So her and a lot of the other 7 kings, Arla maybe could see a lot of play. I feel like Valentina is always going to be squeezing in the top list, so we'll have to see how that goes. But definitely Barrier of Shadows isn't going anywhere. Blazer produces red. He's another color fixing ruler, also deals with every other J ruler, so this is actually really strong as well. He doesn't need Ruler's Moria. He could just play like kind of any variant of 2 colors and then just use the red producing ability to kind of make it more consistent. With Alice's Little Scout, actually being able to use Guinevere on that is really strong as well. I think Blazer's going to see a lot of play. He's just always been a really good J ruler, but we do have like Wind Secluded Refuge now, so that kind of protects our J rulers, and then Kaguya negates his enter too, so that's kind of an option, but it might be too fast because red, giving any deck red is really strong, whereas Sylvia making red into green isn't as strong, so that's always a possibility too. And then lastly, the Alice, Saint, and Valkyrie of Fairy Tales from SKL. The only reason these are here is because I think that being able to produce red and blue with deep blue is really, really strong. Also using deep blue in general is already like feeding into Ruler's Moria, so she might be able to play like those 3 colors very kind of aggressively. And then summoning the soldiers from your deck into the field I actually don't think is half bad. The Alice's Little Scout is really, really good right now. I really think that draw card, especially like if you just put it in a block or something, could be really, really powerful. Valkyrie's God Art like clears the whole board, which is really good. And then Saint is kind of more for like, someone might play like Protect the Gwyver still, and they might just use Saint instead of Reflect. I don't know why particularly, but it's a possibility. I mean, it makes it so that you can play like a lot of different colored weenies because you're not always relying on a Ruler's Moria, because you can have like 4 Ruler's Moria and 6 Waterstones, and now your 6 Waterstones are also like green and red, so maybe you're like dropping all these different colored weenies and to get to Gwyver. So I'll have to see. I mean, I think anything that color fixes is definitely really, really strong. I'm probably going to lean towards Kaguya or Gil because I like the way those play out. But this has been really interesting. I mean, I'm looking at all these rulers and then there's so much to play and so much to try out. And I think people should actually really be looking at this in a positive way. I didn't really think this video was going to go on for this long even. But I want to be more, I guess, I want to speak out on what I feel a lot more. Sometimes I just try to stay quiet because I don't want to like insult anyone or anything, which I really don't mean to. This wasn't like an attack on the haters video, like an attack on Titan, but oh, maybe it should be an attack on Titan video. Okay, anyway, sorry, I always do that. Like I mentioned that before. Like I just like my brain just dies every now and then. My girlfriend says I have Asperger's, but I don't know if that's true. I feel like now that I'm saying this, like it kind of confirms it. Anyway, so it's definitely gonna be a really interesting format. I think people should make the best of it. It's going to be really, really fun. So just make the best of it. Have as much fun with the format as you can. I think it's for the best. So if you agree with me, that's really cool. If you don't, that's totally up to you. I'm sad that you're not enjoying the game, I guess, as much as you can. It's only for AGPs too. Like local people are still going to play what they want to play. And rotation was around the corner anyway, so I really don't think it's that big of a deal. But yeah, definitely let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments below. I'm always responding to everything, so just try not to make it like a flame war though. If you see someone disagree with your opinion, it's totally fine. Just don't be rude about it. That sucks. Nobody likes people that are rude. I don't like people that are rude, so I'll probably just delete your comment. But yeah, just leave a comment, you know, kind of discussing how you feel, why you think it's good or bad, why you think it's going to help the AGPs or why it might hinder them. Definitely subscribe for more content because I'm going to be probably putting out a lot more now that this is announced, just because I want to get everyone ready for AGPs as much as they can. There's also spoilers coming out soon, so I'll still be doing like spoiler discussion and you know, coverage on that. So yeah, comment, subscribe, definitely like the video if you guys did like it, and I'll definitely catch you guys next time.